On the air and streaming live on your favorite device, this is KATC TV3, Acadiana's news channel at 10.
Thanks for joining us for Acadiana's news channel at 10 o'clock. I'm Jim Hummel. Tonight we're learning more about the state's habitual offender law. It's a case that involved a man's fourth felony offense, a $20 marijuana sale, and resulted in a life sentence. In the first of a three-part series, Amon Boyd investigates whether the law is fair.
Growing up in Shreveport was tough on Fate Winslow.
We didn't have no parks back then. We didn't have no recreation, you know. When y'all get out of school, ain't nowhere to go, nothing to do. So before you know it, you going the wrong direction or going down the wrong road.
It led up to a run-in with an undercover police officer in 2008 that would change Winslow's life forever. According to Winslow's attorney, the officer approached Winslow asking for girls. Instead of getting him a sex worker, Winslow offered him drugs. At the time, Winslow was homeless and borrowed a friend's bike. Coming back 10 minutes later with 2 small bags of marijuana worth $20. He was arrested and with 3 prior felony convictions, a burglary of a business in 1985, a car burglary 10 years later, and possession of cocaine when he was 36. The $20 sale landed Winslow a life sentence at the age of 41.
You say, well, I'm going to enhance your sentence for charges that already been used. I mean, I done went to jail for this charge. I done paid my parole for this charge. But then you're going to come back and use that same one against me and enhance my sentence? You pay all that parole money, pay all the fees and everything, then they come back and use it again. You're paying for the same thing twice.
Under the revised statute, a person who commits more than 1 felony can have their sentencing enhanced if more felonies are committed. Because the law counts nonviolent convictions as felonies, several people serve life sentences for nonviolent offenses.
In less than 90 days, took me to trial, picked the jury, found me guilty. 10 whites found me guilty, 2 blacks did.
And you spent 12 years.
12 years. No money, no justice.
He's doing a life sentence for marijuana, and he had no violence in his past. I could not imagine how it is that we feel comfortable and feel okay with sentencing someone to die in Angola when they haven't done any violent acts in their past.
G. Park, Winslow's attorney and executive director of the Innocence Project New Orleans, says it took her team nearly 3 years to have Winslow's case brought back into court to prove he had an unfair trial. Park says the habitual offender law needs to be revised.
You know, I think probably the original intent was supposed to get to the dangerous people, right? But there are many, many crimes that are identified as felonies that are not violent. And so because it cast such a wide net, it ended up catching so many people who should never have been caught in that net.
Winslow was released from Angola in December 2020. His case is one of several in the state.
There's a real racial aspect to the sentences that we see and who gets the most severe sentences in Louisiana. And so when you look at the people who are sentenced to life in Louisiana and Angola, you will see that 90% of those men and women in prison are black men and women.
After you have time to sit down and just start, seeing things and understanding things, and you see, man, ain't no justice. If it hadn't been for Miss G, the Innocence Project out of New Orleans, I was gonna sit there until, eventually. That's what it's designed for.
That's Amon Boyd reporting. Now in part 2 of our investigation, Amon speaks with a law enforcement veteran who believes the habitual offender law needs to be used more often. You can watch part 2 tomorrow at 10 right here on KATC.
Here's Rob's 24-hour forecast.
A pleasant evening across Acadiana, fair skies, and they're going to stay fair for several hours more, but clouds coming in from offshore overnight tonight and even some patchy fog as well. It's going to be thickest northwestern sections of Acadiana. We'll show you that coming up in the main weathercast. And tomorrow, mixture of clouds and some sun and maybe a few spotty showers out there. We're going to go with rain chance at about 20%. Here's the NAM model through 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. Then we go into tomorrow night, early Wednesday. More clouds, some sprinkles in the morning. morning, and then Wednesday should be a mostly dry day, but showers and thunderstorms lining up off to our north and west. They'll be moving in as we head into Wednesday evening, and a good portion of our area is hatched in for a marginal risk of a few severe storms. We'll delineate that coming up. In the near term, patchy fog through tomorrow morning, and then rain chances tomorrow during the day in the 20% range, no higher than that. And again, a mixture of clouds and sun, another warm one, temperatures in the upper 70s. Coming up, more rain chances later this week and maybe another severe weather threat. We'll talk more about that and have the True View forecast coming up in just a bit.
Headlines parish by parish. We start in St. Landry, where a former Acadiana police officer is now facing 3 years in prison in New Mexico after his conviction on a sex crime involving a teenage girl. Leon Boudreaux was initially arrested on 3 charges, but 2 were dropped. He was convicted on the 3rd. Records also show Boudreaux's attorney has filed a motion for a new trial, claiming several mistakes were made during the proceedings. To Evangeline Parish now, an Easter celebration turned violent after shots were fired at a Ville Platte park. 3 people, including 2 teenagers, were injured, but they are expected to be okay. A witness tells us a large crowd gathered at Hope Park to celebrate the holiday when the shooting began.
It was not good for having that going on around children. So it was too much children involved for to be something like that going on. It kind of took a little spirit away, but the devil is a lie, because God was with us.
In Grand Coteau, police have made an arrest in a fight last night that led to a shooting at Go Bears gas station near I-49. Cornelius Davis is facing 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder, as well as aggravated criminal damage to property, and police say he could be facing more charges. 2 Crowley teenagers are each facing a first-degree murder charge in connection with the death of another teenager last year. Keyshawn Williams and Wesley Yoakum Jr. are among 4 who've been arrested in connection with the death of Vontre Phillips. Yoakum is also facing 5 counts of attempted second-degree murder in connection with the shooting last July in the Westwood subdivision. A motorcyclist has died following a Sunday afternoon crash in St. Martin Parish. Troopers say that crash happened on Highway 737 near LeBlanc Drive. Jerry Brewer was identified as the victim. State police say Brewer and 2 juvenile passengers were riding on private property when, for unknown reasons, Brewer drove through a ditch and into oncoming traffic. The 2 juveniles were injured but are expected to survive. Doosan Police Chief Kip Judice is recovering after being rushed to the hospital over the weekend. His family says he suffered an acute respiratory attack that blocked his airway. In a Facebook post, the chief says he was feeling tired but normal. The respiratory attack was caused by a polyp attached to his windpipe just below his vocal cords, which became swollen from allergens. The chief says he'll remain hospitalized until he can have surgery to have that polyp removed. Later this month, voters in Evangeline Parish head to the polls to consider a 1-cent sales tax. Although it's a penny, it could have a big impact on law enforcement. 3's on the street. Amon Boyd reports from Ville Platte with more.
Sheriff Charles Guillory says that this tax increase will help bring revenue back into the parish.
Plans are to, of course, increase patrol, because I only got 2 on duty. I need more investigators to solve crime, because I only have 3 for the whole parish.
The sheriff estimates it could create as many as a dozen positions if the sales tax is approved, increasing tax from 9.45% to 10.4%.
The taxes that I'm asking for, it's not a Charles Guillory tax. It's a tax for everybody. And so we comparable, equal to the parishes the same size as ours. I can't have 100% of the vote, but it will make Evangeline Parish a safer place. It'll attract for our children, and it will attract new businesses also, as they know they have a good law enforcement present.
That special election will be April 24th. In Ville Platte, Iman Boyd, KATC TV3.
I'm Scott Braslin Lafayette. What's a volunteer? Why do volunteers matter? We'll break it down for you in tonight's Spirit of Acadiana.
Plus, if you have some spare Easter eggs lying around, we have some ideas on what you can do with them coming up at 10:24 and 65 degrees. A nice night here in Acadiana. Rob's full forecast for the rest of the week is coming up right after this.